Okay, let's debrief. So our base model was that the time to the destination is just the distance divided by our average driving speed. But we observed that if our driving path takes us on, let's call this a surface street, and this is freeway, and this is surface street again. We drive much faster on the freeway than we do surface streets. So a more accurate model wouldn't just have our overall average driving speed. We'd have one average driving speed for surface streets and a different average driving speed for freeway. So a more complex model might be something like this. We'd say D1 equals distance on surface streets. D2 equals distance on freeway. S1 is our average speed on surface streets. And S2 would be our average speed on freeway. And now we can have our basic model, but we're just going to divide it into two pieces. The amount of time that it takes to travel along all our surface streets is going to be the total distance that we drive on surface streets divided by the average speed that we go while driving on surface streets. And then, so this is giving us the overall time to do this part and this part. And so if we want to know our overall time, we'll just need to add in the time it takes to do the freeway. And so that would be the overall distance that we travel on the freeway divided by the speed that we travel on the freeway. So it's the same model. We just split it into two pieces so that we can model the different parts of our journey more accurately. So that's one way that you could imagine including this complexity. Let's do it in a different way. So let's go back to having a variable that's just d, which is our total overall distance, but we'll have p, which is the percentage of our overall distance that's spent on the freeway. So I can take this same kind of model, but I'll figure out what D1 is in terms of these other variables. So D1 was what? It was surface streets. So let's do freeway first. So if I have a total distance and I multiply it by P, which is the percent of my total distance spent on the freeway, D times B should give me the total distance spent on the freeway. And if it's hard to visualize these things with variables, a really great strategy is imagine them with numbers. Let's say my total distance is 100 miles. Let's say I spend 50% of my time on the freeway. So that would be like 100 miles times 0.5, because that's 50% spent on the freeway, gives me 50 miles. So you can sort of see that makes sense. Okay, so this is now giving me total distance on freeway. So I'll divide that by average speed on the freeway. So what is my distance spent on surface roads? So one way you could think about it is, let's take my overall distance and let's subtract the distance I spend on the freeway. And the remainder must be the distance that I spend on surface streets. And so I'll divide that by S1, and that gives me T. So this is a slightly different approach to the same model.